What's going on, everyone? So, per Daniel RPK, Patrick Dempsey is very close to signing his contract to return as Mark Kincaid for Scream 7. Now, again, always take this stuff with a grain of salt, but I do believe it, right? He's even talked about it, wait for script, doing all that stuff. Like, he's clearly interested. He's clearly involved. I don't think that they would, or I hope not, at least, that they would make Mark Kincaid, Patrick Dempsey, be Sidney Prescott's husband unless they had an idea that he was willing to return. At least some kind of inclination, which, supposedly there was interest in Scream 6, and then, Sidney ended up falling through, and then, Nev ended up falling through because of the contract issues, right? And then, lo and behold, now she's back, and Patrick Dempsey makes a lot of sense to return to the Scream franchise. Now, look, you knew this had to come at some point. Again, it's not confirmed, but I'm pretty confident that it will be at some point sooner rather than later. Maybe even while you're watching this video. Just because, again, you can't establish something as monumental in the Scream franchise as Sidney having a husband and children. Right? That's not something you gotta just brush over, it's nothing. No, that's pretty big. It's a pretty big, just change to Sidney Prescott and her character and development and stuff. It's wow, we didn't even know she had children, right? Could she even have children? How did this happen, right? And then the fact that her and Mark Kincaid, and it's just and I've seen a lot of people be how could she have children and a husband and all that stuff with Scream 4? I mean, again, she was on a book tour. She's not lugging around her husband and children the entire time, and they got school and all kinds of stuff. She's out there on the road, signing books, doing interviews, doing all kinds of stuff, right? She's living her life. Mark Kincaid is staying home, take care of the kids. I'm interested to see, is Mark Kincaid a stay-at-home dad? Is he, an actual, cop or detective still, or, in Seattle or whatever, I'm really curious to see how do they kind of unpack and unravel Mark Kincaid. And this is what I think is so exciting about this upcoming Scream movie, right? We've never had this dynamic. We've never had this element of a family being targeted by Ghostface, let alone Sidney Prescott's family, right? Her husband, her children. Now Sidney's not just responsible for her, she's responsible for her husband and her children, which Isabel May is supposedly been cast as Sidney Prescott's daughter. Now, McKenna Grace was rumored for a while. Now, that doesn't mean that she won't still be, because remember, Sidney has multiple daughters, as she relayed herself. So it is very possible that both could end up being the daughters. But so far, Isabel May, per Bloody Disgusting, Hollywood Report, and all that stuff, that she is expected to play Sidney Prescott's daughter. So it's great. Got the daughter, right? I imagine you're going to have the other children, and you're going to have Sidney Prescott. You got to have Mark Kincaid, right? You can't have the kids and Sidney and all that stuff and then not have the husband and the father in the film, right? That would just be silly and ridiculous. So, I think that we knew this was coming, but I'm excited because, again, I've talked about, with the children round, right? What is Sidney as a mother? What is Sidney as, is she an overbearing, almost kind of toxic, helicopter parent type mother? Or is she kind of lax and laid back and, is she more strict, right? How is she, right? Well, I want to know the same thing about Mark Kincaid. How is he as a father? Is he kind of the laxed one? Is he the one that's kind of laid back and, hey, if you want to do something, don't ask mom, ask dad type thing, right? Is he chill? Is he mellow? Right? I've talked about how is Sidney as a wife. Well, I want to know how Mark Kincaid is as a husband. Is he toxic? Is he just the perfect husband? Do they have a white picket fence marriage? Or, is he constantly having to kind of tackle and take down her walls and her defenses because of her past, right? There's so many different possibilities and questions and answers and things that need to happen that I'm excited for this potential. I think that there's a lot of potential here to really kind of get back to some character development, get back to some storytelling, get back to just the things needed to to really kind of hammer this film home and give us just a different Scream film than what we're accustomed to, a different Scream film than what we're used to, right? Like, we've never had this. It's always been, Sidney, and then it went to Sam and Tara, who were sisters. That's great. You had a family dynamic there, and then, you could argue with Billy and stuff like that, but I'm talking about, like, a husband, wife, and her children, right? Like, we've never had that, and now we're going to get it, and it's not just some random family. It's Sidney and her family and her husband, and she's married not to some random guy that we've never heard of or not familiar with, and now it's like, okay, we got to get to know this guy. No, it's somebody that we're very familiar with, very custom with, that many people were shipping and wanted to see happen, right? And now you got it. So to me, it's like, you have a real opportunity here, right? Like, how is Mark Kincaid as a person? I mentioned earlier, what does he do for a living? Has Sidney made a bunch of money off of the book tours and the movie deals and all this stuff, where they're chilling, living their best life, and he's just kind of stay at home while Sidney goes out and does all the things that she needs to do? Is he, a cop? Is he working at, the local market, right? Does he own a business? What is it, right? Like, there's just, like, how is he as a man? How is he as a father? How is he as a wife? How much has he changed? He's still kind of the same guy. A little weird, a little creepy in Scream 3, right? It was kind of like, wait a minute, there's something up with this guy. Is this guy the killer? Is this guy accomplice? Is this guy a part of it? Right? Like, I felt like, there was a lot of questions to be desired with Mark Kincaid and particularly Sidney, right? They kind of alluded to it at the end where Mark Kincaid's there, and, they kept mentioning how, Mark Kincaid's like in love with Sidney, and it kind of was like, oh, it's this obsession route and stuff. And then, you see at the end, it's like, okay, so they're probably going to end up together, and, that's that. Because remember, we weren't supposed to get a 4 and a 5 and a 6 and a 7, right? Like, supposed to end after 3. So it was kind of like, okay, well, cool. She got her happy ending. She got her friends, she got her loved ones, right? She found a man that can relate and has the scary movie life like herself. And, there's a dynamic there, right? There's things there that could really kind of play into a foundation of a relationship. Well, now that was, by the time the movie comes out, 25 years ago, right? Like, so, again, a lot's changed since then. Sidney's different. Kincaid's different, right? Like, so let's really focus and hit in on this. I'm very excited to see how this plays out and how this develops in their dynamic, in their relationship. And I hope that we get confirmation, because, again, nothing's confirmed until it's confirmed, right? Nothing's 100% until we actually get the confirmation. Once we actually truly get the confirmation, then, we can explore some possibilities and, maybe have a little more deep dive discussion and stuff, because I do think this is exciting, and I do think that there is a lot of kind of potentials and a lot of different things and directions that they can go with this. But got to get back to character development, got to get back to better storytelling, got to really build up Mark Kincaid and Sidney Prescott, right? I hope it's not something where he's just kind of in the movie momentarily, because it's kind of what's been rumored, that he's kind of just, he's there kind of sprinkled. I hope that that's not the case. I really would like to see, the family really in the thick of it. The children and Sidney and Mark having to kind of navigate this killer that is after him and her, and, multiple killers and all that, right? Like, don't blow the opportunity that I think you have laid out in front of you, personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? And Phil, what are your thoughts? Are you excited about this news? Are you excited about Mark Kincaid potentially returning to the Scream franchise that Patrick Dempsey is going to sign on? Also, you got to keep in mind, like, he just did, like, Thanksgiving, like 2 years ago now? Something like that. So, for a long time, he was kind of against the slasher genre. He was kind of against going back to that. Where now, it seems like he's a lot more open. And also, 25 years ago, he was a young actor that was still, on the rise and doing different things and stuff, and didn't want to get typecast. Very different when you're getting up there in age, and, the roles aren't there the way that they used to be and stuff. So, you're a little more open, like, all right, fine, let's do another Scream movie. So that's good, right? But But, how do you feel? What are your thoughts? You excited for the potential Mark Kincaid? Do you want to see their dynamic and their relationship, Sidney and Mark? What do you think he's going to be as a father? What do you think she's going to be as a mother? What do you think them as a couple? Right? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. Either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.